I grew up in a house where I didn't really exist, not in the way that mattered. Don't miss out on the journey. Subscribe and let's grow, laugh, and learn together. My mom had a favorite, my older sister Zara, the one she proudly called her angel, her pride, her everything, while I was just the other one, the extra presence in every room. Tell the other one to clean this, she'd say, or the other one doesn't need it, like I wasn't even worth naming. I learned early to smile in front of others and pretend it didn't hurt, but alone, those words echoed louder than anything else. Birthdays passed like normal days for me, forgotten or brushed aside. While my sisters were celebrations, the whole house revolved around. Over time, I stopped trying to be seen, stopped expecting anything, and slowly became invisible by choice. Then one day, after months of silence, my phone lit up with her name. I almost ignored it, but something felt different. Her voice, when I answered, wasn't cold this time. It was shaking. "Beta, I need you," she said, and after a pause that felt too heavy, she whispered, "My kidneys are failing." I didn't respond right away because deep down, I already knew why she was calling me, and it had nothing to do with love. I walked into the hospital room slowly, like every step was forcing me into a past I had already tried to leave behind. The smell of antiseptic filled the air, sharp and clean, nothing like the memories I carried with me. She looked smaller than I remembered, lying there against white sheets, her face pale, her hands fragile in a way I had never seen before. For a brief second, something inside me shifted, maybe pity, maybe habit, but it didn't last. "Tum aa, Guy," she whispered, her voice weak, almost unfamiliar. I nodded, not trusting myself to say anything yet. In the corner, Zara stood perfectly dressed, as always, her posture stiff, her eyes watching me carefully, like she was trying to read what I would do next. The doctor entered with a file in his hands, his tone professional, detached. "We've completed the compatibility tests," he said, glancing between us. "She's a match." The room fell into a heavy silence, but not the kind I was used to. This one was filled with expectation, hope even, but none of it was for me. It was for what I could give. Slowly, all eyes turned toward me, not Zara, not anyone else. Just me, of course. The other one. The one who was suddenly important because she had something they needed. My mom's eyes softened in a way I had never seen before, her voice breaking as she reached out slightly. "Please, I gave you life," she said, as if those words alone could erase years of being unseen. I let that sentence sit between us, heavy and hollow. Then, without raising my voice, I smiled, but it wasn't kindness. It was clarity. "No," I said quietly, my tone steady, controlled. "You gave her everything." The words didn't come out loud, but they didn't need to. They landed exactly where they were meant to. Zara stepped forward instantly, her composure cracking. "She's your mother," she snapped, like the title itself was enough to demand sacrifice. I turned to her, meeting her eyes without hesitation. "And I was her daughter," I replied, calm and direct. That silence that followed was different. It wasn't just tension, it was realization creeping in, uncomfortable and unwanted. The doctor cleared his throat awkwardly, trying to bring the moment back to logic. "This is a life-saving procedure," he said carefully, "and time is critical." I nodded slightly as if I agreed, as if I understood, which I did. I understood everything. Then, without rushing, I reached into my bag and pulled out a file of my own. The sound of the papers sliding against each other seemed louder than it should have been. I placed it on the table between us, pushing it forward just enough for them to see. Confusion flickered across their faces, quickly replaced by a fragile kind of hope. "I already got tested," I said, my voice even controlled, giving nothing away. They leaned in, their attention locked onto the papers, onto me. onto the possibility that I might say yes without actually saying it. For a moment, I let them believe it, let them feel what it was like to depend on me. Then I exhaled softly. But not for donation, I added. The words shifted the entire room. The hope in their eyes faltered, confusion taking its place. What do you mean? Zara asked, her voice sharper now, edged with impatience. I tapped the top page lightly. I'm not a match. My mom's face drained of color. So quickly it almost didn't look real. No, that can't be, she whispered, her voice trembling in disbelief. But I didn't look away. I held her gaze, steady and unshaken, the way I had learned to be after years of being overlooked. Because the truth wasn't just in those papers. It was in everything that led to this moment. They thought this was sudden, that I had just walked in and made a decision under pressure. They thought they still had time to convince me, to guilt me, to pull me back into a role I had already outgrown. But they were wrong. Backhand index pointing, right? They had no idea I had known about this for weeks, and I had already decided who I was long before they ever needed me. I didn't wait for anyone to stop me as I turned and walked out of that room, the sound of my footsteps steady, calm, final. No one followed. Maybe they were too shocked, or maybe for the first time, they realized they didn't have control over me anymore. The hallway felt quieter than it should have, like the world itself had paused to let me pass through without resistance. I stepped outside the hospital and took a deep breath, the air cooler, lighter, different, like something heavy had finally lifted off my chest. For years, I had carried the weight of being the other one, the invisible daughter, the option that didn't matter until it was needed. But in that moment, I understood something clearly. I was never second. I was just never chosen. And now, I was the one doing the choosing. I didn't feel anger anymore, and that surprised me. No urge to go back, no need to prove anything, no desire to hear apologies that were coming too late. Because some truths don't need loud endings, they just need distance. My phone started ringing before I even reached the gate. Her name, then Zara's. Again and again. I watched the screen light up, then fade, over and over, until it finally went silent. I didn't pick up, not out of cruelty, but out of respect for myself. Because love isn't something you remember only when you're desperate, and family isn't a bond you activate when it becomes useful. I had spent years trying to earn a place in their lives, trying to be enough for people who had already decided I wasn't. And now, for the first time, I didn't need their acceptance to feel whole. I wasn't running away. I wasn't punishing them. I was simply stepping out of a story where I was never meant to stay. Days passed, then weeks, and the calls slowly stopped. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was peaceful. I started building a life where I wasn't compared, ignored, or reduced to a label. A life where I had a name, a voice, and a choice. Sometimes late at night, I would think about that hospital room, about the way she looked at me, not with love, but with need, and it only confirmed what I already knew. That moment didn't break me. It revealed me, and in the end, I didn't lose a family. I found my boundary. Backhand index pointing, right? She didn't lose a kidney donor. She lost the daughter she never chose.